Welcome in to a special weekly champions right here on Wrestling Spotlight TV. Gerald, Bentley, you're seeing us on all sorts of great channels and streaming services, sports.tv, Carbon TV, Watchy on those Maryland cable systems as well. And of course, True TV Plus, which you can download and take anywhere. It's coming up on Wrestlemania week. You can see the stadium behind me where a lot of the action will take place, but that's a far cry from all of the action that's going to happen at Mania week. I'm joined by the David Difference from Cauliflower Alley Club, future stars of wrestling, and frequent guest on here, and
yes, sir.
New contributor to Wrestling Spotlight, but not new to the world of wrestling, Joe Dombrowski. You see him bringing you the action from Major League Wrestling and part of the Cauliflower Alley Club as well. So a couple guys who really know what wrestling is like in Las Vegas.
Yes,
and
sir.
I just wanted to have you guys on and ask you, how excited are you to have Wrestlemania coming to the entertainment capital? I'll say entertainment capital of the world. David, you're the man associated with Vegas wrestling more than anybody.
Yeah, the hometown guy. I'm telling you, we've been looking forward to it, not just since they announced it, but years prior to that. Like, when is it coming to Vegas? When they built the stadium, I was like, it's got to come soon, and here it is. Already the energy in the city is crazy. The airports, they decked them out. They got belts everywhere, and it's happening. There's just so much going down. It's exciting. I'm trying to put together my schedule now. It's crazy.
How many shows are going to be running in Vegas this week?
782. I just counted.
Maybe a little
way
bit
too
short.
many. I have no. Somebody said well over 100 shows that are running, and I know that. Yeah, I can't even count. I started to do the website Wrestlemania.Vegas with all the events, and I said I ain't got time for this because they just kept popping up. So I let that project go. But if there's something you want to see, it's going to be here this week.
Absolutely. And Joe, coming off of a successful, I'll say one of the kickoff events to the regular season of pro wrestling, Major League Wrestling Battle Riot. And that ended up in a pretty notable fashion with a bro show off between the original bro, Matt Riddle, and RVD. What was that like, being involved in that card?
It was wild. I mean, we'd sold out in 2 different buildings on the road there. We kept leveling up. We kept finding new seats to sell. Battle Riot is probably the signature event of MLW every year. It's the most watched. If you don't know, it is a 40-man Rumble-style match, but pinfalls and submissions are allowed. Weapons are encouraged. It is just a completely wild affair for the entire 40-plus minutes. And for Rob Van Dam to come out number 40 and be the last obstacle between Matt Riddle retaining his title, the first ever time that somebody had to defend a title in a 40-man Battle Riot, 2 very kindred spirits in a number of ways.
Yeah.
But, it just a surreal moment. I know set social media on fire, and so cool to just see RVD in an MLW ring, and so cool to see the entire wrestling industry coming to Las Vegas. It's always wild to me to watch our business take over an entire major city, whether it's New York or Dallas or New Orleans or Orlando or wherever we are in that given year, to see just the fans flooding the streets and, the banners and the advertising and just the wall-to-wall events where at any given time you can go to 5, 6, 8, 10 different things, all centrally themed in pro wrestling. And there's nothing like it. I think whether you're a fan, whether you're a wrestler, in the business, out of the business, you owe it to yourself to go to at least one. But ideally go to as many as you can, because it's a celebration. It's a love letter to our business.
Oh, absolutely. And it is just astonishing as a wrestling fan, as a wrestling commentator, to go to the city and see the city just absolutely dominated. Here's a shot from Lincoln Financial Field last year, and it was just amazing. The whole stadium packed. Here, let's put this back up. This is right after Cody won. That whole stadium belting out the lyrics to Kingdom. They re-racked it 4 or 5 times. Everybody just kept singing along. That just kind of snaps it up in one picture, but you have to be there to really experience the amount of the takeover. I mean, Philadelphia is one of the biggest cities in the country, and everywhere you walked around, there's wrestling fans from Japan, from England, from I was waiting in line to get into WWE World to pick up my media credentials, and just in general line with the fans. The people behind me were from Belgium. The first family in front of me was from Japan. There was another group just ahead of them from London, and then all the people from the US. And it's not surprising when you look into it that Wrestlemania actually is a bigger economic impact to the city they go to than the Super Bowl is. I don't think people would believe it, but I mean, it's definitively true. And after you experience it, you can see it.
Yeah, no, people definitely don't. I'm in marketing out here in Las Vegas, and I keep trying to tell the radio reps, all the ad execs that this is big. Like, you need to start getting on it, and they're like, wrestling. People are still sleeping on it, but the energy, they'll find out after this week. They're definitely going to see. But you talk about like the amount of fans. Like, we were all out in Philly last year. And just
we ran into each other at the
ran into Joe, I ran into you. Yeah, just like, okay. So you see it's just this community, this family thing where you see people and just randomly, like hundreds of thousands of people. And I was hopping out of the van and I seen you, and then I seen Joe over at WrestleCon, and it was like, okay, this is crazy. But it's just like a family gathering. You could talk to anybody about anything that week, because we all have something in common. It's just it's going to be insane. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's true, Joe, because there's a shared language, right? I mean, if you're into it enough that you're traveling to WrestleMania, you know the catchphrases. I mean, if you walk around like this, somebody's going to yell, "Acknowledge me."
I can remember being in New Orleans a number of years ago and just walking down Bourbon Street and seeing fans just erupt into spontaneous yes chants for Daniel Bryan. And you've got people who speak English, who speak Japanese, who speak Spanish. It's truly a universal language that brings us all together. And, it doesn't matter why you watch. It doesn't matter what your niche is. You're going to find something that week that suits what you're into, whether you're a lucha libre fan, whether you're a Joshi wrestling fan, whether you're a deathmatch wrestling fan, whether you like the wacky over the top characters, whether you like the one-man shows, whether you like anything that you could possibly be into. Something is there. Likely 5 or 7 different things are there that can speak directly to you. And that's why it's so powerful, because I think there's so many more different varieties of what wrestling is than ever before. And each of it speaks to its audience in a different way. And this is a time where, hey, if you've got 80,000 wrestling fans in one city in one weekend, you can come with whatever your brand is, whatever your niche is, and show it off, and hopefully make a lot more fans discovering it for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, having been veterans of attending WrestleMania, what's your guys' advice for fans that are traveling in the first time? What should they absolutely go to? Is WrestleCon high on the list?
Definitely. So my top events that I'm going to say go to is definitely WrestleCon, because everybody's there. You're going to see the stars that you never thought you'd see. Plus, it's great networking, seeing friends and family. WWE World is an experience, seeing all the sets and, all the memorabilia and the superstars, and then the live shows that they have going on there. And then I just got off the phone with Knox Pro. They got a lot of huge shows at the Downtown Event Center that they're running 3 nights, but they're bringing in a lot of names, and the cards are stacked on that. So we'll definitely be there. And then, there's so much. Chris Van Vliet, the podcast, Busted Open.
Yeah, I
can't tell you what to see, but just come see it all and whatever you have time for. I'm hoping to catch more than I'm able to, but we'll see. It's crazy.
Yeah, I would say my number one piece of advice for any fan is do not feel overwhelmed, because you are. There's going to be so much you're going to want to do. You're not going to hit everything. You're not going to see everybody that you want to. You just have to kind of prioritize and figure out how the schedule works. But I absolutely echo what David said about WrestleCon. It's my favorite thing to do every single Mania year, because where else can you look to your right and see the Rock and Roll Express and the Four Horsemen, and you look to your left and there's Cole Radrick and Alec Price from GCW. You know what I mean? Like everybody's under one roof, and and it's not just the merchant in me, the salesman in me that obviously wants to talk to you and sell you a DVD that I just made, or sell you a classic magazine. But it just also, again, those interpersonal connections where there's people I run into at these things that I haven't seen in 5 years, in 10 years, and longer, But, fate and circumstance and the love of the business brings you together. And there's people I'm going to see next week that I know for a fact I'm not going to see anywhere until, if I'm lucky, next WrestleMania.
Sure. Yeah.
And as far as just where else to go, that depends on the type of fan you are. Of course, I'm going to recommend you go where I go, which you could be at Juggalo Championship Wrestling on Saturday night at 11:59 p.m. on Fremont Street, right by the Nerd Bar. And I'll be at Dragon Gate USA on Wednesday and Friday nights. Wednesday night as part of the Collective, and Friday night, I believe, will be FSW Arena, if I'm correct.
Yeah,
so I recommend those locations. But if for whatever reason that's not your cup of tea, I mean, I could unfurl a list longer than Chris Jericho's 1,004 holes to give you another option too. So it all depends on what satiates you.
Yeah, it's proper scheduling, because we're in Vegas, so I haven't been like other cities.
Yeah, you're on a 24-hour clock.
Yeah, they got the after parties going. Like, this is gonna be, it's just insane. Set your schedule. Don't get burnt out, because it is a lot of days. And I don't know. I live here, and I know traveling here is a whole different animal, and coordination. So just pace yourself, like Joe said.
Sure.
And then figure out what's most important and go. But there's always, but also it's an opportunity to discover something new. Like, if that may not be your cup of tea, try something new. I guarantee if you're a wrestling fan at the core, you're going to love something about, all these things going on. FSW has the full tilt going on with the WWE ID shows.
WWE ID, yeah.
Yeah, you can discover so much new talent and promotions and activities and friends, and just it's going to be crazy, man. I'm looking forward to it again.
Well, hey, let's talk about that. How did that come about? The WWE ID tournament to decide the champions with those new belts that Triple H just showed off. It's taking place in part at the FSW Arena, which, for people who haven't been to Vegas before, it's only about, if you're traveling in, you're staying on the Strip, it's about a 10-15 minute Uber from anywhere on the Strip. It's really convenient. How the events come about?
So it was kind of in talks for a little bit as far as putting together something for WWE ID, and it was, I want to say, somewhat last minute. They reached out, and they're doing the over at the Palms with the Collective, where they're running night 1, and then night 2, FSW. That's the home of 2 WWE IDs, which is Jordan Oasis and Ice Williams. So we've already had that connection there. So they said, let's do this and make it happen. And what better place? Vegas, FSW is the home to, as you know, many WWE superstars. Yeah. So let's get it going there. So I'm excited about that, and all my people are buzzing. We're definitely going to be there in the building for that, both nights over at the Palms. Like, come on. I'm doing everything.
Yeah, I mean, here, I got
I'm
reached
doing
out
everything.
to by our friends at Progress Championship
Okay.
Wrestling. They're going to be at the Palms on April 17th. It's one of those late night shows, 11:59 p.m. And there's some wrestlers that I think if you're a fan of professional wrestling, you're going to be familiar with. One called Manders. He's a frequent presence in Kansas City area independent wrestling and MLW. He's going to be out there for Progress. Effie, of course, is going to be part of it. Paul Walter Hauser, the actor wrestler, going to be going. Vert Vixen, a independent wrestling staple. And the name that surprised me for the Progress Men's World Championship, Luke Jacobs, your current Progress champion, defending against Michael Okua from Rev Pro. Tremendous talent. You've seen him on AEW a few times and a star in Rev Pro. So just literally anyone you can think of is going to be in a ring in Las Vegas. And Joe, I think that helps elevate everything because everybody is just one match away. Somebody seeing them and saying, "Hey, I like that person. Let's give them a shot." You're one match away from getting a chance at MLW and a national audience.
The eyes of the wrestling world are going to be upon this weekend. And I think the best example to what you're illustrating is a number of years ago when WrestleMania weekend pretty much single-handedly revived the career of PCO, who had an incredible match and was off to the races from there. And even, well into his 50s is still just doing insane things. It's very hard to rise up above the noise, right? There's so much going on. And even if you do have a hell of a match, somebody may have a better one in a completely different building 20 minutes later. You don't know. The news cycle on social media is going to change very rapidly that entire week. So it's going to come down to a little luck, a little bit of timing, but also how prepared you are for that opportunity. And there's some guys who head out to WrestleMania weekend with no guarantees, no promises, no bookings, and just roll the dice, if you excuse the Vegas pun. There are some that go out there, and it seems like every year there's like a Sami Callihan or a Speedball Mike Bailey that has like 11 matches in 4 days, and they're the Iron Man or Iron Woman of the whole weekend. So it takes all kinds, but there are people watching that normally would not be watching you or the brand you're working for or whatever the case is. So whatever you got, whether you're in a pre-show scramble or whether you're in 7 different main events, give it all you got because you never ever know.
Oh, very true.
That's a life lesson right there.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Try. You don't know who's watching. I reached out and interviewed for Mania Week Nixie XS. She is the women's champion in championship wrestling for Memphis, and she appears on Glory Pro on the channel. I thought she did some really creative marketing work. This is a social media post that she put up to let promoters know that the main girl is available to work matches in Las Vegas, arriving on her Learjet from Paris on April 16th. I thought that was really creative. And then she did this one to Showgirls to experience her in Las Vegas. And she is heading out there for a match at Future Star of Wrestling Arena, which may have to attend this one bright and early at 10:30 a.m. on Friday. The Heartbreak Core, Shazza McKenzie, taking on Nixie XS in the last Showgirl standing match coming up from the FSW Arena. So I really like the work and the marketing. It ties into my full-time job of being a sales manager and marketing yourself and getting over, because at the end of the day, that is the key in pro wrestling. You can win or you can lose, but you got to get over with the fans. You got to get a reaction. And I thought that was really a great job and kind of emblematic of what wrestlers are doing to get attention in Mania Week and get on all these different shows.
Nixie's a hell of a talent. I have a chance to work with her a lot in Dreamwave Wrestling out near Chicago, and she has such a unique look and presentation about her. She has a lot of elements of maybe an 80s and the throwback pop culture to her.
Yeah.
I get a Mad Maxine vibe from her to make a deep cut for you, but she has that look and that aura that's going to force you to take notice. And then, once you've got the style, you need the substance to keep their attention. I think Nixie either has it or is well on her way to having it in a big way. I see nothing but big things from her in the next couple of years.
Just made her AEW debut. It's not going to be seen until Saturday, but she made her AEW debut for the taping of Collision this week. So she's making some moves. She's got the DDT looking really good now. So she's got that finishing move that she's locking in. Well, hey, we talked about some of the independent stars that are making their moves. Talked about WrestleCon, which take a look, because you're going to be able to get photos with Ric Flair, Sting, Kevin Nash, the Steiners, and I'm going to go find out our fellow native Kansas City and Bobby Lashley, the Almighty. He's going to be there, Willow Nightingale. So really just anyone you can think of is going to be available at the WrestleCon. But what match that's been announced for Mania so far are you guys really looking forward to as what you think will be the match of the weekend?
I think the most talked about match is going to be Cena versus Cody Rhodes. I mean, there's a lot in the air as far as what direction that's going to go, what the wrestling landscape looks like afterwards. Me as a fan, that's the one that's kind of intrigued me. A lot of people, I mean, I've heard people say this isn't the best card. Overall, number one, WrestleMania, everybody steps it up. Just being there, the whole spectacle of it, it's going to be amazing. But I think that match, there's a lot of question marks that are unanswered, and as wrestling fans, we love that. Like, what's going to happen? Even if we're let down, it's still the anticipation of it. So I'm looking forward to that match. I think right now, I still want Roman Reigns versus the final boss, but they screwed me out of that one. So I'm gonna go with Cena and Cody Rhodes.
I think spectacle is the perfect word for that. That is, the face of this generation versus the face of maybe one or two generations previous. And, all of the bells and whistles will be out for that. And that's going to be something that people are not going to forget anytime soon. I'm also intrigued to see what happens between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns, because they have set this up in such a way, playing off of so much reality, so much bitter emotion and feeling into this, and just the way that these three men's stories have woven in and out. Especially over the past year. You could certainly go back much further than that. I thought was really exceptionally well done. Everybody has a gripe. Everybody has a unique, reasonable point of view. Everybody thinks they're right. You've got Paul Heyman as the monkey in the middle, where are his allegiances going to lie? A wise man once said that you probably should never trust Paul Heyman when his lips are moving, and that wise man was Paul Heyman. So that's going to be a major X factor as well. So, and knowing that's going to be, in the final slot on the first night, leads me to believe that something is going to happen there that nobody would be able to follow, so they're not putting anyone in a position to follow. So I just want to see how those cards lay.
Yeah, I think that'll be a great match. The other match two matches actually I'm really looking forward to. The women's championship with Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, the EST, and Io Sky. That should be a great match. And then we're going to have the first non-championship ramification women's match at WrestleMania with Jade Cargill, who maybe got the second biggest response from the fans at Lincoln Financial last year, versus Naomi. So lots of great matches, and you know the other ones will develop too. Braun Breaker in that 4-way for the championship, that's going to be crazy for the Intercontinental. So it's going to be a great weekend of matches. Yeah. The Samoan Werewolf. Talking about MLW.
Yeah.
Go back and watch some of his matches on MLW. The guy's amazing.
I'm so happy for Big Oos. Jacob Fatu is scoring big. I can't say I'm surprised, but I'm very proud. I knew as soon as the first time we heard on WWE TV, Jacob Fatu threatened to dog walk somebody's ass. I knew this is Jacob Fatu in his element. This is Jacob Fatu's true self. And because of that, it's going to work. And he's done nothing but overachieve.
Yeah, which was so crazy last year in Philly.
Which is a great story.
Last year in Philly, we interviewed him, and that was before WWE. And it was crazy. After the show, they was like, "Oh, he's backstage." So I was like, some might be going down here." And then next thing, he popped up. So just to see that journey, and like, he's killing it. He's killing it, man.
And there's more to come. You say Journey. I just met Journey Fatu. He was in Battle Riot last week. So there's more and more Fatus coming down the pipe.
Bloodline.
Yeah.
And Hikuleu going to be making his debut here really soon, supposedly. Because you and we saw Jacob and Hikuleu walking in at Mania. So, it was crazy. Well, hey, let me wrap it up here as we're running up against the clock on this special Weekly Champions previewing WrestleMania. Let me ask you guys, what's the event coming up that you want to promote, David? What's the championship idea coming up this week from FSW?
I got to pump their 59th annual reunion at CAC
Cauliflower Alley Club. Sure.
With the main host, Joe, over there. I just got off the phone with Brian Blair, and he said he's looking forward to it again. Give Joe a shout out because he does an amazing job. But it's incredible. It's coming together. We got the roast of Mick Foley. Foley's getting honored, and we haven't even announced all the names, but show up, show out. The 59th reunion is going to be big. It's going to be magical. And that's where I met Joe. I mean, you meet people, and then you become people, and that's why I love this business, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I talked to Brian a couple weeks ago. I'm looking forward to that CAC as well in August. I feel like that's years from now, though. I got so much going on until then. I got to talk about Juggalo Championship Wrestling and the great work I've done with Violent J. We've got a little tour going on end of April in the Midwest. I'll be at Squared Circle Expo in between that tour in Indianapolis, and that's selling out quick. So if you can't make it to Vegas, but Indianapolis is a little bit more in driving distance, all you got to do is wait an extra week, and there's going to be probably, I don't even know how many, 100 or more talents that you can meet there, just the same. May 3rd, I'm going to be at the ECW Arena again. TWA, one and done. Joel Goodhart is back promoting after over 30 years gone. If you don't know, TWA was the spiritual predecessor to ECW. It's where Todd Gordon got the idea to start ECW by working with and watching TWA. So they're gonna hang a banner in the Hardcore Hall of Fame in the ECW Arena, and Joel Goodhart is gonna finish his story by doing a final event. Of course, MLW's back in Chicago the next week on the 10th, Cicero Stadium. I could go on and on, but I also want to tell people about my DVDs, my VODs, ProWrestlingLibrary.com. We just put out a 9-hour Ric Flair set. If you're going to be in Vegas and you're going to be at Dragon Gate or WrestleCon or anywhere I'll be, stop by. I'll have one. I can sell it to you. And we're putting out a DVD next week, too. Your first chance to get it will be in Vegas, about IWA, International Championship Wrestling, promoted by Eddie Einhorn, the future Chicago White Sox co-owner. And he was the very first man in 1975, before Vince McMahon, before Jim Crockett, to take wrestling television and touring and go national with it. So that whole story will be on DVD and a ton more. ProWrestlingLibrary.com. You can see all of that information. I don't want to take up all your time talking about it, but whatever you're a fan of, you'll find something on there. And I hope to find you in Vegas at WrestleCon.
Ooh, I'll definitely go up and meet you in person. We've only talked on camera. Well, hey, let's just get our champions of the week, too. We'll do that quick as we wind it down here.
Hey, guys, it's your girl, Ash, my elegance, and you're watching me on Wrestling Spotlight.
Okay.
So, got one of the championship belts, the same belt that we auctioned off at FSW for the benefit for Chris Bay, autograph belt. David, who's your champion of the week? Who gets your Wrestling Spotlight TV title?
Champion of the week is all the fans coming to Vegas. They won. They won. They're winners. That's it. I mean, other than that. Well, let's go back. Same as last week. What was it last week? Let's give it up to Chris Bay again. That's my guy. He's a champion of the week. I think every week. That's my guy. Shout out to Chris Bay.
I like that. And Joe?
Yeah, that's going to be hard for me to follow. But, yeah, Chris Bay is credible athlete, credible human being, and truly is, the greatest story being told in real time right before our eyes. And I can't wait to watch Chris's continued recovery. I got to go with my champion as somebody who I have a rich history with, good and bad. But I know Twitter exploded earlier today because Atticus Cogar got added to the WWE ID tournament as a representative of GCW. So I've known that sick sociopath since he was 19 years old. He got some of his first big opportunities working for me, and now he's in a WWE sponsored endorsed tournament. And I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. That's not something that's supposed to happen. But hey, he's the only guy in the tournament that's not been ID'd. So if he goes through and wins it and becomes the first ID champion, he'll get the belt, he'll get a contract, he'll get everything. He'll be a made man. He'll be a real champion then, yeah.
Yeah, big stakes. Well, I'm going to go with the match that I mentioned earlier coming up at FSW Arena on Friday the 18th. Nixie XS. I'm going to go with Nixie because she's going the extra mile, doing the interviews, doing the marketing. So give her the championship. And of course, you can stay tuned in to Wrestling Spotlight TV on Sports.tv, on Carbon TV, on Watchy, on True TV Plus, and multiple other streaming platforms. Stay up to date on all your pro wrestling news. David, thanks for joining. I'm sure we'll be running into you up in Vegas. And Joe Dombrowski, you can even check out some of Joe Dombrowski's previous broadcasting work as we're running archived classic wrestling from the Joe Dombrowski Pro Wrestling Library on Wrestling Spotlight now. You can even see a young Johnny Gargano in the ring. So pretty neat stuff. Guys, thanks for joining, and look forward to seeing you up in Las Vegas at FSW and WrestleCon.
Yes, sir. Appreciate
Thank
you,
my friend. I'll see you there.
Absolutely.